Tune in to the Social Impact Show with Samm Marshall, where we spotlight change makers and their inspiring journeys.
It's time for the Wealth Zen with our favorite, Charmaine Soobramoney is in the house. Bop, 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 bop. I've been watching too much from Mac G, actually. How are you doing, ma'am?
I'm fabulous and happy Tuesday.
It's the Wealth Zen, do you know that?
It is the Wealth Zen. Happy Tuesday, Sam, and happy Tuesday to our listeners.
Yes,
it's fab
happy
to be here.
Tuesday. What do we have to be happy about?
The fact that we can actually breathe, the fact that we're here and I get to hang out with you guys and our community. There's a lot to be happy for.
You know how to steal our hearts. You sound like you are a smoother of notes. Listen, so what we do every week in this slot, my friend and I, Charmaine Soobramoney, is that we unpack, we think, well, not we, you, and then I just get to engage with you and we get to steal your energy for like 20 minutes and then you go and do your thing wherever you're going. So we've been unpacking the word wealth. And you have been looking at each of those words and what they mean. We did wealth first, and then we looked from a kind of a personal development space. But then we also unpacked wealth from compound interest, and we are now on E. And this is a slow journey, and I love this journey being slow because every week we get to think about what you want to leave with us. And last week the E was quite incredible.
Thank you, Sam. It's just such a joy to be able to be here and be able to share some insights and learn through the process.
Yes.
So we started with wisdom.
Yes. And
then we went into equity. And last week in our episode 4, we did equity from a fairness perspective.
Yes.
And
friendship, family.
Friendship, family, yourself, as to how you should be kind to yourself. And when we have the ability to be able to just understand us and be fair to ourselves, we give ourselves permission to be able to learn and apply other knowledge. So therefore we go from self and then externally as to the knowledge that we need to be able to create wealth.
Yes.
So today we're going to be looking at equity as well. And you know what equity means from a financial perspective. It's about a stake, ownership in a business, or but equity for oneself as well. So today we're going to unpack that a little bit more and how you could create wealth from building equity, right?
And I love that. I think that's great. I think that's awesome that we, and I know that the people have become so smart now that equity doesn't mean the same thing for everybody. Equity can be earned over time, can be earned by your inputs, but the idea is that you should technically, if you're working for somebody for many years, think of equity and leveraging your skill set, your ability to grow their business, all of that kind of stuff.
Absolutely, Sam. And, the reality is, children especially, and I need to make this point, they don't do what we say. They do what we do.
Yeah,
very and therefore, important. When it comes to money, when it comes to finances, when it comes to spreading love, we need, as adults, be so intentional in our actions because people are observing us. If we want a better South Africa, Sam, or a better country, we need to be those ambassadors. And this month, or 8th of March, was International Women's Day, right? And I do want to give credit to my mom today, if I may.
Yes, we love moms, by the way.
I know. Moms are incredible.
We love moms.
Moms are incredible human beings, Sam. My mom,
amazing.
Devi Govender, if I did not watch her as a child, seeing how she budgets, how she accumulates wealth and all of that, I would not be...
Shout out, Devi.
I would not be as intentional as I am today. So thank you, Mom, and thank to all
moms,
magnificent women out there.
Well, the good ones.
Yeah, the majority of you.
The majority.
that really sacrifices to give the kids the best that they possibly.
Guy, but there are good moms and then there are not so good moms. But let's talk about the good moms.
There's good and bad people in all of us, but if we can show them as to how it is. Okay,
but
Sam.
Shout out to moms.
Shout out to moms.
And we love moms. We're a big fan of moms. Without them, the world wouldn't turn.
I need to start bringing in intentional notes because we go on a bit of a tangent and then I go...
Well, you brought up moms and so we are like... We love the idea that you're loving your mom because we love our moms.
Absolutely. And the reality is we all are humans. We have to give credit where it's actually due. And we have to be able to be those ambassadors for transformation, for change and all of those things. And it's going to sound like show-offy and I'm going to say it. I've done a fair amount of financial qualifications, but the fundamentals and basics I learned from watching my mom. She's a powerhouse.
Yeah, love it, love it, love it. So
Okay.
let's talk about equity, but ownership.
Ownership. We all have the ability, if you're earning an income, to be able to build equity. And even if you're not, there's a subtle way as to where you can do it. And we've dealt with it, and we'll dealt with it more in terms of networking, in terms of, asset building outside of, right? And I do want to make the point before I move into the equity space. I want us all to remember that we are our primary assets.
Yes.
Look after your
You
mind.
are your business.
You are your business. You are your assets. And I always say you either make magic or you don't.
You're either an appreciating asset or a depreciating.
Oh,
Yeah.
you go, boy.
Hey,
I'm so impressed.
all those podcasts are paying off.
No, it's beautiful that we're using these to be
Yeah,
able
because these
to
are
bring the
terms.
message home,
Yeah.
right? So you want me to go like really financial, Sam? We'll keep it simple because I like keeping it simple. Because
No, I think that's the best.
because I want everyone to be able to just
Yeah.
get into the meat
and
of things.
take out what works for you. Not all of it will work for you, but there are aspects of it that will work for you. And all you've got to do is just like my old teacher used to say, Mr. Hartog, those things on the side of your head are not ornaments. They are for listening. Use them. That's what he used to say.
Absolutely, actually, that's beautiful. That we can reflect back on our journey and the people that have impacted us so beautifully.
Yeah.
The power to listen is
Yeah, but I also grew up in an era where you didn't listen, they used to cane you. So I also remember him for that. So that's a different story for another day. But here, go ahead.
I used to get, what do you call these things with the side of the rulers?
Oh, on your fingertips.
On your
Yeah, but now you're digressing. Now you are the one.
Okay, guys, let's bring it back. Okay, from an equity perspective,
Yeah.
it's largely
Go back to the message of equity.
it's largely assets
Yeah.
minus liability equals to owner's equity, right?
Yeah.
And when we talk about assets, right, I've already mentioned that you are your primary asset, but from a business perspective and accumulating wealth perspective, there are assets that some of us deem to be assets, but they're not quite your
Yeah.
assets, right? And I just want to make a couple points relating to that.
Can you please also explain what those are?
Okay, so some of us, or most of us, grew up knowing that your house is your asset. Your primary home, if you're still paying like a bond and things, and we went into detail about how you should pay it off earlier, it's not really your asset because it costs you money. It costs you interest. You pay your municipal levies on a monthly basis. Depending on the area you live in, your rates and taxes are priced accordingly. So it costs you money. Assets are things that make you money. So your second home that you may have, that it's out for rental. It brings you income. It pays your bond. You have a profit at the end of the day. That's your asset. In South Africa, we have a tendency to believe that our cars are our assets.
Only some of us.
No, you and I don't. My car
Yeah.
is 9 years old, and I'm keeping it for 20 years.
Yeah, but it's still you. But you drive like an old lady, so it's in good nick. You drive.
I drive okay, whatever.
Whatever. Okay, let's move on.
And your cars are not your assets. They basically take you from A to B, and as soon as you drive it off that shop floor, it depreciates.
And loses value.
It loses value, right? So we need to be quite intentional about what assets is. So, stocks. So in the US, we call it stocks. In South Africa, we call it shares, right? And buying shares. Now, shares are like a stake in big corporates and businesses that are actually listed. And the beauty is, it doesn't require you to have a lot of money to be able to invest. There's organizations that allows like minimal amounts. Like you can buy shares for Mpilo for like with 100 rand with easy. No, I shouldn't be giving names,
Yeah.
but certain organizations. And my journey, Sam, I've been on this journey. So years ago, I served on the Financial Sector Charter Board, and access to people in South Africa was non-existent for majority of us. So those low banking accounts that you see, FSCA has served on the board with the likes of Samm Shabalala and things, the Standard Bank CEO. We were championing low bank accounts, access to easy investing in things of that sort. Why? it was being primed to be able to allow all of us to benefit in these infrastructures. So access is there. It's a matter of knowing it and using it well to be able to create your wealth. So we've done the asset aspect, Sam, and there's like more that I can say about it, but I know we were speaking so much humanity stuff that you're going to kick me out shortly, so I'm going to move to the liability perspective. Liability are things that we actually owe, right? Even in business.
That's taking away.
It's taken away. And then whatever's left is your equity. Does that make sense? In business, but also in your home thing. And I would love for all of us, like when I speak to people, do you know something as basic as a budget is non-existent?
Hey, you know, that drum has been beaten so often, and yet we don't budget. We don't sit down even before the end of the month to draw out a complete budget. Not the stuff that you think you're paying on, but everything, even going to the shop on a daily basis. People don't include that in their budget. The petrol that they throw in, they'll put this kind of, for want of a better word, this airy-fairy idea of what their petrol budget is versus actually taking the receipts and going, I think I'm spending 2,000 Rand on fuel a month, but I'm actually spending 4,500 Rand on fuel. And by the way, my fuel costs are not the same every month, because this month my kid is doing a lot more sport activities than they did last month.
Yeah. It's so critical, Sam, that you actually have a map as to what is the income coming in.
I agree with you so much.
And what is the expenses going out, and what exactly have we left? Because with data, and data's power, right?
Yeah.
And a budget is largely your data.
Yep.
It gives you the ability to refine that, and it gives you a sense, okay, initially it can be overwhelming, because if you are in the red, you don't actually have money to actually invest and buy.
Can I put you in the hot seat and ask a question? If budgets, and I know this is a thing, I can't remember the data around it, but there's a fair amount of couples that break up around finances. Finances is the thing that can actually destroy a marriage or a relationship,
Sure.
right? But there's also some data that I saw this on my feed. Couples aren't comfortable about talking about finances, and so sometimes what happens is that it's the kind of job of one person to balance the books, and it's not a communal thing, when in actual fact it should be a communal thing. How do we take the emotion out of discussing money? How do we take the emotion out of talking about finances? How do we take out the accusation of where in the tone, because we know each other, so sometimes you'll go, if you did not do this month, we would have had extra money, and all of a sudden I feel defensive. So how do we get to a neutral, common space to talk around about finances without making the other person feel like they're the reason, or it's emotionally charged?
It's about how mature you are from a EQ perspective. But not talking about money, I just want to go back, and there's a rationale for that. And
I'm throwing a curveball, but you said something, and I wanted to ask.
Absolutely. I mean, the whole intention of this conversations that we have is to be able to address stuff that's going to help people and move forward in a way that matters for all of us. I mean, the psyche about not talking about money has been instilled ages ago because of the country we come from, right? And because of the inequality in the way people got paid. There were levels as to way. And you were forced to be confidential and not share, whether you're a woman or whether you're of a certain race and things of that. And therefore, it has become a norm for people not to talk about money. And we need to make it normal to talk about money. Going back to your question, yes, it is stressful, because in our country especially, even though we fight for gender equality and things, men are put to feel that they should be the providers, right? And they stress around it, and I'm not talking just for the sake of talking, but I engage with people, and I understand the emotional pressure and strain there is on both men and women. If you come together as a couple, there's a partnership. And what is a partnership? It's bringing your skills and my skills and making this great marriage. Okay? We need to go, okay, darling, or whatever you call your husband or your wife.
Snooky, Shabby,
Sweetie,
Kiki,
Angel, Han.
my honey pie.
Okay, whatever you call it. Now, if you're so like whatever condescending, clearly this conversation is not going to go the right way.
No, I'm just saying we all have funny names, of our partners.
For my husband, it's Han. So Han.
Han.
Yes.
Oh.
Is my honey.
I
Han.
thought it was like Love Muffin, Stud Muffin, King Kong.
Can we get back to the conversation, because there's lots of people that have signed up to get value, Sam, and
okay, now I'm going to stop it. Okay, cool. Okay, can I give you a nickname?
You can call me whatever you want.
I'm going to call you Heidi.
Heidi. Okay, let's go, Heidi.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that came from, but let's go, Heidi.
Yeah.
Okay. So the reality is we have to sit down and go, okay, it's our joint responsibility, irrespective of who's bringing the most amount of money or who's bringing money or not.
We've got to work together.
It's our joint responsibility to actually help each other be the best versions of ourselves. It's our joint responsibility to take ownership of this financial situation we're in.
Equity.
Okay, it's the financial
ownership.
Ownership. It's equity.
Yeah.
Ownership of where we are. So can we just sit down today for 2 hours or whatever it would take, and let's understand how much we have in our bank accounts, how much we're bringing in, and where's our money going? Let's explore this.
Yeah, I think that's important.
Don't make it like, oh, we have to do our budget today. And when you hate doing something, what do? You tend not to do it, right?
And you become emotional about it.
You become emotional about it. We are working together to get us to the best platform we possibly can. Why is this important for us? We're going to be less stressed. We're going to be more in the know. I think I told you guys. People would rather talk to their kids, in terms of this research we did, about sex rather than the financial situation. So let's understand. With understanding, we have a picture as to where we are currently. Fantastic. Tech. Okay? And then don't judge. Don't shout at each other. Acknowledge and pat yourself, because sometimes we don't, for the first step that you've taken.
Just sitting down and being willing to talk about the finances so we can dig ourselves out of this hole.
If you are in the hole. Sometimes you might find you're not in a hole. It's just that you are not building equity.
And you're spending money on all the wrong things.
It may be wrong for you and I, Sam, because we're not car lovers, but it could be important for them, because it is about life is...
Okay, I like that. I mean, we all have different takes on life.
We have.
Yeah.
So let's understand that we all have different ways of where you wish to spend our money, right?
But if it is causing arguments and stress, it's something you need to deal with.
If it's causing arguments and stress, the reality is you probably don't have a grip on where you are. And there's a sense that we are spending on stupid things. But if we sit down and understand where we are and understand what is it that makes you tick, where would you like to spend money? What does make me tick? Where do I want to spend money? Okay, let's put a plan together to make a budget that allows for that spend. It's not like don't spend. It's spend with intention. Spend with building equity if that's important for you. And that's the journey we need. So step 1. Step 2, come back. Okay, we've done all of these. We've thought about it. How is it that we're going to journey together to be able to get to the next step? Are we in the red? How do we get ourselves out of the red? Do I need an advisor? Do I need a coach? Do I need somebody to hold our hand through this? And there's never judgment. We all have been at a place where we didn't have money. The money we were bringing in, not all, depending where you were born or what, but a majority of us in South Africa. A fair amount of us. Where our assets... We didn't have assets when we were starting off. You know what I'm saying? So we all started somewhere. So we need to acknowledge where we are, because there's different levels of money. And I talk about it. I've actually written a book, Sam. One day we must talk about it. Like different levels, understand which level you're in and how we get out of there. And you don't have to go on this journey on your own. Trust me. When I say your own, as a couple, get outside resources. And trust me, it would be easier, because you're tapping into the mind of somebody that's been on that journey, and what you would take forever to think about, they've got some solutions that may work for you. Not every solution is going to work for you. You have to be critical, and you have to not take everything supposed experts tell you. There's been some sharks out there, trust me.
So you've got to do a vetting process. But we're obviously focusing on equity, and you're saying that ownership ownership of one's finances, if you are, which in many ways, I think a marriage is also, if you really look from a business perspective, it's a functioning business. And I mean, if you had to do a SWOT analysis on your business, it would be interesting to see what is the strengths, the weaknesses, the threats, and the opportunities, which is a business term, that you would then impact, or that noise you're hearing is Charmaine blowing kisses at me.
I'm a hugger and a kisser and a lover.
But it's really about doing a SWOT analysis on the state of, maybe not your marriage, but the state of the finances, so that you can build that equity that we've been talking about. We talked about equity in friendship, and now we're talking about equity in business. And if you understand that relationship like a business, you'll be able to see where's the threats, where's the weaknesses, where's the opportunities.
Where's our strengths? How can we bring in more money to be able to bring this? Because sometimes we're so stressed and overwhelmed about our financial situations. We don't use our skill sets to be able to bring us more. So deal with it. Don't.
No, I love it. And you know, and the thing that I just want to jump in and say this is that this information, in all honesty, is not new. People have heard it in so many different ways, but we don't practice it.
We don't, for multiple reasons. And the environment we live in, Sam, is such that it's not simple anymore. There's so much information. There's so much pressure in living up to the Joneses in comparison to when we were growing up, Sam. And our core, when I say we, okay, Sam and I are in our 50s, so I'm talking about
Thanks
that generation.
Me.
Okay, cool. I'm 54, Sam,
so
you're 50.
To be 35 for
whatever,
the longest time.
Sam, but yeah, the reality is,
thanks for outing me.
There's so much pressure now that you need to be so centered in who you are, and that's why we talk about you are your primary asset. And you know, I could go there like all the time, because if that is not bedded down, everything else we'll talk to will just blow over, because you are so overwhelmed instead of knowing where you are.
And there are people right now listening to this, they're overwhelmed. They're keeping it quiet. They're stressing. They're thinking, well, it's already the 11th, and they're stressing about the end of the month. And it's a reality for a lot of people. And I sometimes feel sorry for those people, because a lot of the stuff that they're going through, they're also keeping away from their partners.
Oh, really?
And maybe they might have an environment where they think they can't share it, or maybe they're in an environment where they're not sharing it. But we're all going through our journeys. You know?
Well, yeah, absolutely, Sam. And you know, life is hard, not just here in South Africa, internationally. Our unemployment rate is at ridiculous levels. There's a lot of people that don't have income, right? And there's a lot of people that don't have food on the table. So this information, you're probably thinking, like, what nonsense is this? Because we're battling, and I hear you and I sympathize, and I'm sorry for that. But if we are not intentional and start building up when we gain the knowledge, so when that income comes in, start putting away, we will never have the independence and freedom that we want. And Sam, you know my story.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You have to start and not go tomorrow when I earn more money, when I get more money, when I this. Even those little, like 5 Rand and 10 Rand. If you can cultivate the habit, Sam, and to our listeners, just cultivate the habit.
Equity.
Start doing the action. There's progress. You're moving forward. And that's what we want to do. We want South Africans to not stress about money. We want South Africans to be so hungry to know how to build equity that they are becoming entrepreneurs and so excited to go, you know what? I have value to give. I'm going to get money to share my value, and I'm going to be a productive, not wait for somebody else to give us jobs.
And can I just add this? I think this is an important thing to add as well. You were going to say, sorry?
No, sorry, Sam, you go.
No, I was going to say that, you know, often in marriages, people, as you've said, we have different strengths. Some marriages are built where, for example, the husband is entrepreneurial, the wife isn't, but she's great support. Or the wife is entrepreneurial, the husband is not, but he could be great support, right? And that's all it needs. And sometimes what that takes is that if you are with somebody who has the capability to build wealth, you're a team player. Not everybody scores goals, right? Not everybody scores goals. Not everybody's a striker on the field. And your support of that person that you love could be the difference between that person making money and not.
Absolutely, Sam. The reality is we all are different and we all are wired differently. If we could actually have conversations, Sam, we have less resentment and less stress. Because the reality of not having conversations creates resentment. And when there is resentment, what is it? You give resentment. So you create this unnecessary negative vibe that's not pushing you forward but pushing you back. So start the conversation. Understand we all are wired differently, and be supportive if you want that marriage to work. No judgment. Oh, you always do this. You always buy a pair of shoes. You always. Okay, always. She did. Stop it. Start here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, how do you... I may not bring the dough or the money, but I can support you. And this is what I'm going to take ownership for.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Very, very important. And this
I
is
did not
the E,
do
right?
all the equity in.
So
Okay,
you've got 30 seconds to go through the other E's.
Oh no, we have to have another session to do the actual fundamentals and all of those things.
Next week we'll do another session on the E and unpack the other fundamentals. But sorry for sidetracking you. I think it's an important question when you talked about finances to sometimes ask this. And in the nature of having a conversation, sometimes you go wherever it leads you or
Absolutely.
wherever the message kind of pushes you. And I think that's very, very important that we've got a more mature listenership. And there are a fair amount of people that right now are thinking about, oh my God, the end of the month is coming. I've got this. Or even from an equity perspective, and I want to say this as well. Sometimes people have value to bring into a business, but they're too scared to walk up to their boss and go, I've actually been here 25 years. This is what I've brought to this business. How can I earn my way to ownership? How can I earn my way to becoming a partner, a junior partner? We are too scared to have those conversations in the businesses where we can have those conversations.
Sam, going back to our first episode,
Yeah.
when you see yourself as an asset and you build you as an asset, you have the ability to have this courageous conversation because you know your worth, right? And thank you for raising that, Mr. Marshall.
Yeah, I'm just saying that there's so many ways to the path to ownership. That doesn't mean you have to invest money. And it's not coming from me. I mean, I watched an interview with Stephen Bartlett, and he had a great, I forgot her name now, and she talked about there are these different pathways to ownership that people never think about, especially in the businesses where it's easy. I mean, it's very difficult in a Facebook to walk up to Mark Zuckerberg and go, I've been here for 25 years, I think I should have equity. There are other ways to buy shares if you work for Facebook and stuff like that. But I think when you are...
Sam, I disagree with you.
Okay.
If you have value to give, irrespective of who it is, you must be able to go and communicate that.
Okay,
you need
maybe
to be
that's
fearless.
a debate for another day. Maybe
you need to be fearless. You need to be fearless.
Maybe the ones that are fearless are the ones that get what they want.
Not necessarily. The ones that know their worth, the ones that are willing to do the work, the ones that are willing to take action, and the ones that's able to have conversations and go, it was just a conversation, no, he's okay, but I'm not stopping here. On that note, Sam, I have 30 seconds. I just want to say love and light to everybody, and thank you for having me, and I hope we landed something that resonates with somebody, and please do believe you have value to give, and go and implement.
And you're an asset, essentially.
Absolutely. We all are assets. We just need to build as to how valuable we are.
Tune in to the Social Impact Show with Samm Marshall, where we spotlight change makers and their inspiring journeys.